Very quickly, I just wanted to let you guys know that this weekend we're going to be running a customer appreciation sale at puregripsocks.com as a thank you for all of your support of the Pure brand over the last several months. If you use coupon code THANKYOU at checkout, you can get 15% off any order this weekend only. The sale ends Sunday, March 7th at midnight, and of course, all of the info that you need will be linked down below. Over the last 2 years, I think Adidas Takedown models have improved tremendously, and that's not to say that there haven't been some slip-ups, because there are definitely some models that are currently available that I think nobody should ever buy. But inside this box, I have what I believe to be one of their best Takedown models ever, and maybe for the first time ever, and I'm kind of hesitant to say this because I realize I won't be able to take it back, I might actually prefer this Takedown model over the two top-end variants. And the boots that I'm talking about are the Adidas Copa Sense.2s, the $120 option in the new Copa Sense lineup that realistically has all the features that I think people were more or less hoping the top-end models to have, but didn't get for whatever reason. For $105 less than the top-end Copa Sense.1, you're getting more leather and what I would argue is a more comfortable fit in the Copa Sense.2, which means that this is not only super competitive in comparison to other boots at this price point, but arguably the boot you should buy in the new Copa Sense lineup over both the 0.1 and the Plus, depending on, of course, what you're looking for. I'm gonna talk about why that is in today's video and what I think is so good about the Copa Sense.2, not to mention how they fit and feel on feet. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire video, and if you are by chance interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can click the little pop-up in the corner of the screen or the first link down below. That's gonna take you to the review page on my website where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal retail price. As always, if you guys do end up enjoying the video and perhaps want to see more reviews of, I guess, more affordable football boot options, don't forget to support this one with a like. And I've also noticed that a lot of you guys who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. If that's you, it would mean a lot to me if you could hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. As for the boots themselves, I am really impressed. I think a big misconception with Takedown models is that they should strive to be good enough rather than actually good. And I think what Adidas have done here and given us with the Copa Sense.2 is a product that is legitimately good, offers qualities you would expect from a higher end product, but done with cheaper materials that ultimately don't end up feeling cheap. That for me is one of the worst aspects of so many Takedown models, is while they can have certain features that come across as being very premium, they can have other things that are just unnecessarily cheap. And I think for the first time in a long time, almost everything about this Takedown model feels right for the amount of money that it costs. Being that this is a Copa, you of course expect a leather upper, and that's something that I think a lot of people were super disappointed with the Sense Plus and especially the Sense.1. You just didn't get very much leather on the boot, and a lot of the leather was interrupted by other elements. In the case of the Sense.2, the leather is basically taking up the entire forefoot. The seam is pretty clear to see, and it's not a kangaroo leather like the top end models. It's a little bit more padded, which I actually prefer. It feels more like leather. It's soft, it's flexible, and honestly, I have no complaints. For the price point, this is about what you should expect, and it feels quite premium. From there back, where the seam is, you're going to find what is basically like a neoprene material with a fuse overlay of what is essentially like a synthetic leather grain material that matches the general texture of the leather, so you get a very consistent touch on the ball in terms of grip levels, but it also is soft, it's flexible, it has a little bit of a padded feel to it, and does a pretty good job of matching the general thickness of the leather at the front. Also, they have included the memory foam touch pod, which you'll notice is positioned further back on the Sense.2 than what it is on the higher end models, where it's more so around the forefoot. This position, I think, makes a lot more sense in being backed by actual synthetic rather than on top of the leather like it is on the Sense Plus. I think you get a much better feel for the pad itself, and on the ball in general, it has a little bit of texture to it, which I quite like the feel of. And honestly, this position just makes more sense, and I think you notice it far more on the Sense.2 than you do on the higher end versions. Just like the Sense.1, the boots do feature a central lacing system with a regular tongue, and that tongue is actually made from the same material as the rest of the upper, so that neoprene, and you even have the two little memory foam pads right here towards the middle of the foot to reduce lace bite and in general just feel a little bit softer against your foot, which I quite like. Very refreshing to see a football boot with a normal tongue. What I don't care for on the lacing system, and I think one of the more gimmicky elements, or I would say the only gimmicky element on this boot to be fair, is the top two lace holes, where you're going to notice that they're not lace holes, they're these kind of string-like loops, and they serve no real purpose other than just being lace holes. It's not like a flywire type system where it runs all the way deep, so when you pull on these, it kind of pulls on the upper. It's really just fixed in this general area up here and actually is more bulky than regular lace holes would have been. Something else I noticed about this is when you tie them up, because it's on the top two lace holes, you're gonna find that you actually lose tension as you're doing up the top, because the bottom one, this hole is just very big and the laces have nothing to grab onto, where with a smaller lace hole, obviously that's not the case. Also, durability could potentially be a long-term concern for something like this, although in general, it feels like a very rugged material that they've used. So that's something that I can't really comment on with any kind of confidence. It's just one of those elements that I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't hurt the performance of the boot in any way at all. I just think it's a little bit unnecessary. Moving to the rear, this is where I legitimately think the Copa Sense.2 is better than the Sense.1 and Sense Plus, which is funny because the element that this boot does not have is the Sense pods positioned in the heel area. So you'll notice that this does feature a low cut design that's a little bit more normal than what you'll find on the more expensive models. An extended back, which isn't entirely necessary, but doesn't get in the way in any way at all. You also do have an internal plastic heel counter, which is pretty straightforward. And then looking in the heel, sorry, it's a little bit dark in there because everything is black. You're still gonna find those individual pads, two at the back of the Achilles tendon, two a little bit lower down on either side, and then these ones positioned a little bit further forward, kind of towards the side of your foot slash ankle. You can see they're all outlined in this yellow stitching to help hold the padding in place, but the little bumps are significantly smaller than what you're gonna find on the top end models. And of course, they're lined in this synthetic suede with a much softer foam as well. So while it still feels different from a normal heel liner, it feels significantly more normal than the Sense pods found on the top end model, which do provide really good heel lock and just general lock down, but they are uncomfortable and do leave, I guess, big potential for blisters depending on how well they fit your foot and how tolerant you are of having a ton of extra grip from the boot right around your heel area. So from a comfort perspective, especially out of the box, I think this is significantly better. And like I said, just feels more normal. And then the insole, another kind of cheap element of this boot, typical of a lot of Adidas Takedown models, does have a mesh liner on top, but it's fully glued in. It's a single layer of foam. It's not that it feels cheap or anything like that, but I think at $120, you kind of expect a decent 3D molded removable insole. This one you can't remove though. Moving to the base of the boot, you're going to find something that looks similar but is ultimately quite different from the top end models. Most notably, of course, is the lack of external heel counter. You have a little bit of a lip on either side, but it's relatively small. There's a different structure system through the midfoot. It's not the same mold at all. And then the plastic used is entirely different, where overall, this just feels more flexible than the top end model, which is not a bad thing. Out of all of the Adidas Takedown model sole plates, this is by far the best one that I've used possibly ever. It does not feel awkward in any way. It bends in a very natural manner as well, and overall just suits what they've done with the upper quite nicely. So no complaints from me regarding this sole plate, especially considering the price point. And then of course the stud pattern, it does carry over from the rest of the new Copa Sense line, where it's a little bit more aggressive than the previous generation of Copa, where of course they've implemented some of these more aggressive kind of bladed style studs. They're kind of half conical, half bladed. Overall, more bite than what we had previously, but kind of what you'd come to expect from the Adi brand, given that it's still the same layout that we've been seeing basically since 2010. Something else that I was a little bit surprised about with the new Copa Sense models was both the weight of the 0.1 and Plus, which were heavier than I was personally expecting. The Copa Sense.2 does not really improve upon that though. In a size 9.5 US, you can see that this boot weighs in at 9.95 ounces, the equivalent of 282 grams, which is roughly 20 grams more than what you're gonna find from the Copa Sense.1. Once you're into the 9-ounce range, I don't think that the little bit of extra weight is quite as noticeable. So overall, these are definitely not going to feel super light on your feet, but I also don't think they're heavy, although by today's standards and in comparison to a lot of other Takedown models, they're on the heavier side. Something I have not mentioned up until this point is the way that the Copa Sense.2 looks, which for me, the stripes on the lateral side, the wave graphic, and the splash of color at the heel, I just think they look really clean, especially when paired up with some white Pure Grip socks, which for those that don't know, is my own brand of grip socks that are available in a wide variety of colors for the very affordable price of $14.99. If you're interested in trying some out for yourself, the website to visit is puregripsocks.com, which of course will be linked down below. Now, as far as how these fit and feel on feet, they are very comfortable. The leather that you have through the toe box and forefoot area is super soft, super flexible, and then the neoprene synthetic running through the midfoot and really the rest of the boot also feels really soft and flexible while still being nice and structured with the laces tied tight. Again, central lacing system with a standard tongue is very refreshing in 2021. Very few football boots are like this anymore, and the heel liner minus the Sense pods just feels significantly more comfortable out of the box than what you're gonna find from the more expensive variants. The sole plate is not awkwardly stiff like a lot of Adidas Takedown models have had in the past, and overall, they just feel nice and premium, as you would expect from a football boot that isn't cheap at $120, but obviously a lot less expensive than the top end models. As far as width is concerned, they have a decent amount of width to them because of the way they cut the upper, where it's just a little bit shorter on the sides. You can see the lacing system kind of tapers a little bit, where it's tighter at the bottom and then kind of more spread out towards the top. They have some decent width to them, but I definitely don't think that these are exceptionally wide. If you have really wide feet, these might not be the best option for you, but in general, I still think they're going to fit most people quite comfortably. Obviously, the leather through the forefoot and toe box area will stretch very nicely as well. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you're looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, is the Copa Sense.2 worth the $120 retail price? And I think the answer to that question is an easy yes. The bigger question is the Copa Sense.2 for $120 better than the $225 Copa Sense.1? And I think if you are after a football boot that has a legitimately good leather feel, then yes, the Copa Sense.2 would be the better buy. And one of the only Takedown models that I would choose to wear over the top end option. Anyways guys, that's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, first link down below, that's gonna take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes to pick these up below their normal retail price. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to ask them down below in the comment section. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.